Welcome to the last video in this series. This is the third video of my spend analysis from my travels, and if you don't know, I'm using Emma to do all of this, which has been super helpful. I discovered them whilst I was watching a payday routine video by a lady called Nisha. I'll put it below. I'm bad with names. Today we're talking about Ghana, what I spent when I was in Accra, and so yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna record as we go on this one, because I think it will make it easier. So the planning for these trips started way earlier in the year, so I want to capture all of that data so that I get a good total, and I want to go into my category. One of the reasons I chose Emma is because it was recommended in that video. I wanted to try Snoop. I think familiarity just kept me away from Snoop, and I will need to recategorize things. But in Emma, I started afresh. So I was mainly interested in creating a category for SA, Nigeria, Ghana. Anyway, in Ghana, in total, I spent 2,400. The reason I was out in this country is my friends got married. Two of my friends got married. In a way, really, I was lucky because they both got married in November. So one was getting married at the beginning of November, the other was getting married at the end of November. And so what that meant is I'm on the continent. Why go back and forth when I can just, hop into the next? When I'd finished the wedding in Nigeria, I went over to Ghana. And so my flights, it was 100 and something. I think it was £150 to fly from Nigeria to Ghana. And I flew with Air Peace. All of my trips in and out of Nigeria, by the way, was in the new terminal, and everybody kept warning me about the old terminal, how chaotic it is. I would love to experience it. Anyway, we digress. So the first payment was £100 for what? Kente. And then the rest of the transactions are for accommodation, typical of a wedding, close to the time of the wedding. That's when payments just start rolling out. But to be fair, the girls did encourage us to make payments regularly. I didn't. I could have, but I didn't. I left it all last minute because that's your girl. But it's fine. It worked out, so we thank God. I was going to say the costs are slightly heightened because I included my return flight from Ghana to London, which was booked very last minute, but it was British Airways, so I don't think I would have got it cheaper, to be fair. And we all flew together, which was so cute. Unlike all the other trips, there's no Uber here. Anyway, we had a minibus, and that's what I guess reduced the not using a taxi. I think I used an Uber once, and I didn't pay for it. It was someone else who booked it. There's only 16 transactions in Ghana, and there's 29 in Nigeria, for example, and there's 76 in my trip to South Africa. So not a lot happened, but big money was leaving my account. I don't know if that makes sense. We got swindled more in Ghana, I think, more than any of the other two countries. I think because we were moving as a group, it was very obvious. So I would say we experienced tourist tax a lot more. I would also say that our accommodation was reasonably priced because we were a big group, so we shared the expense. But it doesn't mean that it was cheap. Ghanaians are very aware of the US dollar, and when you compare Nigeria and Ghana, I would say is a bit more expensive. So essentially, I'm trying to say if you're going to Ghana, you need a bit more of a budget. Because the day-to-day is just more expensive. I think the reason why I spent more in Nigeria in total is because I was in a hotel, and because I was there for longer, and I was gallivanting more, I was eating out more, I was just doing the most more, and I was also there for a long time. So the difference, in Ghana is 2,400, Nigeria is 29. Okay, so we're looking at a £500 difference roughly, rounded up. So I think if I had not stayed in a hotel would have been much cheaper. I found it so odd that South Africa was cheaper than all the 3 countries. It wasn't cheap to fly to because obviously it's further, so you spend more in flights, but once you're there, it's very, very cheap to just do your day-to-day. In comparison, it's cheap because you're coming from outside with a different currency, but I don't think for a local person earning in local rands, it's not cheap. But you can take advantage of that fact, obviously, if you wanted to see which African countries to go to. I think this has really opened my eyes to the world of enjoying life in Africa. And I think as a summary to this mini series, I want to add other countries to my list to travel, and also just compare living standards versus the strength of the currency versus what you actually get for your money. As a summary, as a big summary, as I said, I think South Africa overall, you just get more for your money. Yet it still remains cheaper whilst you're getting more for your money and whilst you're spending less, if that makes any sense. Between Ghana and Nigeria, I think right now my heart leans to Nigeria just because there was less drama and there was just more enjoyment. If I revisit Ghana, it would be on the basis of like no wedding, and also just a smaller group with a local person expecting me or us, so that I can just see how the locals enjoy, if that makes sense. I think if you are a tourist, you will just generally spend more. But if you're moving around with just local people, somebody who lives and you're just like low profile, you spend less. And actually, I think I would have a richer experience that way, which is what I did when I was in Nigeria and Cape Town. In Ghana, it was a shorter trip towards the end of the whole, the entire trip, and we were now a group. Ghana was definitely not solo. Nigeria was solo halfway. Cape Town was solo completely. So I think that's the difference that will impact on your spending. I don't know if that makes sense, but let me know if you have any questions or insights from your experience as well. In terms of my accommodation, I will try to put some figures on the screen to detail what each person paid for the Airbnb, for example, because the numbers for Ghana are definitely divvied up because we were a group. So in a way, it works out cheaper, but overall it's still expensive because they quote big numbers. Funny story about Ghana, actually. The price you pay doesn't necessarily reflect in the quality that you're going to get. And that was more apparent in Ghana. It was also apparent in Nigeria, but I think it was more apparent in Ghana. But Cape Town was the complete opposite. You pay less, you get more. The currency difference, the power of the currency. Anyway, Ghana, my bathroom flooded. Literally, my bathroom flooded on the day I was checking out. And then the other house was beautiful, lovely. But the guy was like on check-in, showing us around. And then one of us had sat on the sofa. As you sit on the sofa, you slouch and you put your leg over there, your head over there kind of thing, And he was like, the lady doesn't like it when you sit on the sofa like that. You should just sit straight and don't. And we were like, what? And he was like, yeah, look, there's a camera there, she'll see you, so make sure you sit on the sofa properly. I don't know how to explain the attitude, right, in hospitality over there, but the experience I saw, it was very different. It's very like, what it said to me is somebody has obviously set up this business as an Airbnb, but they're still very precious about their property and they want to be so in control of how people treat and they want people to behave as how they would in the property. But actually, one of the risks of having an Airbnb is people will sometimes come and trash it, quite frankly. Not that we were that kind of group, or people will come and want to sit and relax. I don't want to be told how to sit in an Airbnb, if you get what I mean. Not for the price I'm paying for. Like, I'm not trying to trash your house, but if I've now paid, I'm here, I'm treating it as my house. You can't tell me how to cook, how to sit, how to breathe in the house I've just paid to be in, And there was little things like as well, like in the other Airbnb in Accra, because we moved, by the way, we went to Kumasi, I think it was. That was another Airbnb. In Accra, we stayed in a different Airbnb. The guy kept cutting our water. He kept cutting the electricity, saying we need to pay, we need to top up, we need to top up. Meanwhile, we booked it as an Airbnb. Why are we topping up? Basically, they moved the goalpost a lot of times because they can see you're a tourist, because they can see if you say no, you have no other choice. Anyway, I'm saying all of this to say that your money in a place like Ghana, I felt my money was very much like I end up spending more because of impromptu things that happen and swindles, really, tourist tax. I want to put it down to we experienced more of that because we were a group that were evidently foreign. Whereas in Nigeria, I've just blended in with a big group of people that just kind of knew what was going on, you know. All I needed to worry about was my hotel. The day-to-day, I barely spent money. But the day-to-day in Ghana, I spent loads of money. The day-to-day in South Africa, I spent money frequently, but it wasn't to the same value, if that makes sense. In a nutshell, I'm just trying to say, I guess, make sure you have bags. Make sure you have bags when you go to Ghana because, you know, it's a lot. Although I spent more in Nigeria, I would have spent less if just behaviors were correct. I think if my planning was just respected by people that I was trying to transact with, you know. But I think you just need to have more spare money for just in cases in Ghana. Swindling is real. I think that makes up the summary of this spend analysis mini series. I'm going to move on to other things relating to travels, as well as the renovation of my house. I have another series going on in this channel, which is basically how I bought a house, renovated it, and everything in between. So if you are interested in that, check it out. Stick around, subscribe. It is free. Have fun with me. Ask me questions. I'll ask you questions. Yes, my old videos were more fashion focused and reviews. I'm trying to just kind of do a little, you know, addition. I think that will be less, and I'll be more lifestyle, and I want to travel more, so you start to see more travel videos. And I want to travel the African continent more, so I'm super excited to do that. A part of me really wants to go back to Nigeria, but a part of me feels like that's a waste. You've already been this many other countries. I don't know, overthinking it, but we'll see. You will see. Bye. I think that's what I should be saying. Goodbye. I've talked too much. Goodbye.